On December 1st, 1948, two jockey apprentices decided to take an early morning stroll on Somerton Beach in Australia. They came upon a man lying in the sand propped up against the seawall with his legs crossed. They remembered the man laying there in that exact same position from the night before. The man was strangely out of place to be on the beach as he was well dressed in a full suit and polished dress shoes. As they slowly approached the man, they noticed he wasn't breathing. The death of this man on the beach would be full of mystery as police scrambled to figure out his identity in what would become one of Australia's greatest mysteries. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the mysterious story of the Somerton Beach Man. So much mystery has surrounded this case with little to no answer surrounding many of the questions on who the identity of this man was. Why was he here and where did he come from? Was he murdered or did he just come here to enjoy the ocean before he passed on? From December of 1948 to June of 1949, the police did what they could with the evidence and the body of the man before he was released for public burial. Many theories have surfaced to who this man was, but first let's go over what facts we do know. The autopsy showed no signs of violence, so he wasn't murdered in any conventional way. There was the possibility of him being poisoned, but there was no traces of poison in his system. There were no signs of heart attack or any other causes of death that were noticeable. Even if he had a premonition of his death and wanted to enjoy the beach before his last breath, this was a very public place, so not exactly the best area to go off and die quietly. With the cause of death being so elusive, maybe a glimpse into who he was might help shed some light on the situation, but this also proved even more mysterious. This was a very publicized case, and not one person claimed to know who he was, or if they did, their stories didn't add up. It's hard to believe that he would have no family or friends, but this just seems to be the case. He had no identification on him, and even his fingerprints were no match in Australia or the United States. All of the tags on his clothes were cut off, so those would be untraceable, but they were American style of clothes. During this time, this was usually done when you bought or were given secondhand clothes, since the original owner usually put their name on the tags of their clothing. Even if he looked of British descent, he was either from America, had been there, or had bought clothes off of someone that lived there. During this time, these types of clothes weren't imported from America to Australia. The man stood 5 feet 11 inches tall and was well built with brown hair and blue eyes with very distinct calf muscles. His feet were formed as if they had been constantly crammed into pointed shoes, and his toenails were very well groomed and cleaned. With really no information that was helpful, a face cast was made to be a reminder of who he was and was released for burial. Local investigators and even the FBI were stumped on who this man was. What clues they had were not of much help. Tickets were found on his body suggesting that the day before he died, he had taken the train from Adelaide railway station from an unknown location, before checking his suitcase into the station's luggage room. He bought a train ticket to Henley Beach near Somerton Beach, but didn't use it and instead made his way to the beach by bus. Even the luggage he had left gave investigators nothing to go on until the investigation's pathologist started to re-examine his clothes. In the man's trousers was a hidden pocket with a rolled up piece of paper with the words Tamam Shud printed on it. Those are the final words of the poem The Rubaiyat by 11th century Iranian polymath Omar Khayyam. The police released the information about where the paper had come from, and an unnamed man turned in the book with the missing piece of paper to the police. The rolled up piece of paper had been cut from this exact copy of the book. The unnamed man told police that on November 30th, him and his brother left their car parked and close to Somerton Beach with the windows rolled down part way. When they returned, the book was on the floor of the car. Both the men assumed it was one of the others, and the book was placed in the glove compartment until the police released what book they were searching for. Lo and behold, it was the exact book with the missing piece of paper. Now, the meaning of the poem and the placement of the rolled up piece of paper have led to one theory of the story, but we will get to that in a little bit because there are two more clues we need to go over that this book has given us. In the book was a handwritten phone number and a coded message. Despite everyone's efforts over the years, a coded message has been another dead end. Some have speculated that each letter is the first letter of a word, but this has only gone nowhere without somewhere to start. Others have assumed it could be possible that they are the first letters of places the man has visited, or maybe even the first letter of names of horses he had placed bets on. Now that really only leaves us with the phone number, which has given us our really own clue. Now, the phone number led investigators to a local woman named Jessica Thompson. Jessica denied having any information concerning the man, but investigators stated that she acted very strange during her questioning, even going to the extreme of almost fainting when seeing the cast of the man's face. Without any real cooperation from Jessica, this is where the case ends and no new real evidence has ever surfaced. Over the years, a few different theories has come to light about the possible cause of death of the man. Many years later, a clue came forward of a man dressed similar to this one was being carried by another man towards the beach. They took it as a friend helping a drunk friend, but could it have been something more sinister? Now let's get into what theories we have, and I will give you my own theory as well. Our first theory is that the man was a spy who knew too much and was murdered. Without any real cause of death that was found, he was possibly poisoned. Now, even without any traceable poison in his system, there are poisons that are untraceable. He also did have the hidden pocket with a rolled up piece of paper that led investigators to find the coded piece of paper as well. Maybe this coded piece of paper will hold the clue to his identity, but solving the code seems impossible at this point. Throw in the fact that really no one came forth with any real information leaves many to believe he had a hidden life. Some have stated that those that did try to come forth were told to stay quiet or disappeared, but this is all just rumor and speculation. Of the theories, even if this is the most exciting version, I think it's the most unlikely. Now, the next theory leads us back to Jessica Thompson. The reason she acted strange during the initial investigation is because she knew the man all too well. They used to be lovers, and she was possibly even pregnant with his son at the time, who did have a striking resemblance to the unknown man. Possibly she had moved on and found someone else, and he was devastated. He cut out the piece of paper from the book she gave him, but he chose that poem on purpose. Now, the meaning of the poem goes as follows: that we know what this world has in store for us, but we do not know what the other world has in store. And while we are on this earth, we should enjoy life to the fullest. And when it is time for us to pass on without any regrets. So he possibly felt like he had nothing else to live for and took his own life with a poison that was untraceable. Of the two main theories that have come out, this seems the most likely, but it got me thinking and led me to my own conclusion. Now, like I said, this is just a theory, but there has to be a deeper meaning to why Jessica Thompson acted so strange during her interview with investigators. Now, if it was someone she didn't know, then she wouldn't have had such an intense reaction to seeing his face cast. The fact that the man had no car or place of living makes me believe he wasn't there permanently. For whatever reason, possibly work, he was staying in Australia. He got a romantic relationship with Jessica, and as a gift she gave him the room buyout book. He wrote down her number in the back of the book so he would never lose it. Things didn't go as planned, and she broke off the relationship. Maybe he possibly left for work somewhere else and returned back to her, but she was seeing someone else. He decided to tear out a piece of the book and keep it with him, but toss the rest of the book in the open car window in an act of moving on. Maybe Jessica's new lover told her he would take care of the situation and decided it would be easier to dispose of the man, took matters into his own hands, and poisoned him. He carried him to the beach and left him there to die alone, and this is what the men saw that night before. Now, this is all just speculation, like I said earlier, but it makes sense to me, but it doesn't help solve the mystery of who this man was, and this rate we'll probably never know. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video.